not what I wanted to do. Okay, I'm live. Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. We're back with some more Last of Us. We're here with episode 8. And, before I begin, I'm doing a really terrible job. We're back with some more Last of Us. Here's episode 8. I'm saying a lot. If you don't know what this is basically where I play The Last of Us while also talking about the show, differences between the show, or certain similarities that the show has. I also like to just talk about certain symbols and messaging that happens in the show, and also same thing but for the game also, and just some general like fun facts or just certain details in both the game and in the show. Another thing before we begin, there is a link in the description for the video from another YouTuber. His name is the YouTube channel is Screen Crush. They do way better job at analyzing this stuff than I am, and they do way better job at explaining everything. So go check them out. I found this video while I was also trying to do my own sort of homework, and they do way better job at explaining everything that I'm going to be doing, especially since I might miss a couple things. I remember I missed a couple of things in previous streams, and go check them out. They just do better at whatever I'm trying to do here. But we're back with some Last of Us. Last episode was for the Left Behind DLC, or for the show it was the Left Behind episode. And again, Left Behind is a DLC that came out after. It's supposed to be it was a DLC that came out after the initial story was out. And now we're back with the actual main story. I think... Is this it? Do we have to restart this? I actually don't remember. So we finished it. We finished this part, it's just I think I ended it mid-cutscene. Okay.
I think we're safe.
So in-game, this is where we left off. And then we did the Left Behind sort of thing. Joel is injured, and Ellie is left behind.
You gotta tell me what to do.
Or is left behind, left alone.
Come on. You gotta get up. Joel!
Barley! No! Knock it off! No! Oh my god. And now it's my turn. Barley! Go to the room!
Stop here right now!
Go to the room. It's funny. And it's dead.
This won't last very long.
So obviously this section of the game starts off like that, but in the show it actually starts off differently. In the show, it starts off with a Bible read. Starts off with a pastor, who is basically reading out of the book of Revelations. The book of Revelations is a book about the end of the world, and when the end of the world comes, there will be paradise afterwards. Yes, I believe that's what that is. If not, I'm just, talking out of my butt, but whatever. And basically, throughout this entire time, there is sort of silence between the entire group, and the man who's talking... Barley! Come on, dude! Seriously? Great. I love streaming and then things happen. really just have poor timing, don't I? So the episode starts with the guy reading the Book of Revelation, and after him reading a whole line, in the background there is I can't remember what it says, but it's like, it basically says the name of the episode, which is When You're in Need. And there's another thing that came after it. I think it's There Will Be Peace, I think it's what it said. I can't remember. We'll see it later in the game, but... And then a little girl starts to cry. Then, basically about her father who passed away and wanting to bury him, or when will they be able to bury him? And then the guy said, well, we can't right now because it's too thick in the snow. And then they also start talking about them being low on venison. Venison is usually deer meat, and people consume it. And then we cut to Ellie and Joel. Ellie is still tending to Joel's wound. Still very, very weak. He's still very much in a lot of pain because he also doesn't have any medicine to treat the infections or just treat the wound in general. And they're also running low on food, where Ellie has to share, or where they're sharing very little amount of jerky that they have left. And then Ellie decides to go out and hunt for food for both of them. And then Ellie sees a bunny, attempts to chase after, and then trips and falls and fails to get the bunny. But which is a difference between the game and in the show, because in the game obviously Ellie had caught the bunny, and in the show obviously she fails. But there is another difference which involves that deer on screen there.
You'll just startle it.
Ellie says that it won't last long in the game, obviously, with the bunny, because the bunny is very small, very little meat, which I think they sort of reference in the show earlier before they met up with Tommy. But that's just me.
There he is.
Oh, I missed it. So we're playing as Ellie. This is actually supposed to be the first time we follow Ellie in the game. Because in the show, or in the game, we followed Ellie the entire time. Or we followed Joel the entire time. We play as Joel, we protect Ellie, and a lot of things happen through Joel's eyes. And this is the first time we actually play as Ellie, not including Left Behind DLC, because, again, that's the DLC that came out after. I actually can't see because I think the bow actually blocks it.
Gotcha.
And he runs. I don't know why, but I find when you step on snow, or like in game, it's like very satisfying noise. Are you trying to poop? He's just chased and is bleeding.
Easy. Easy.
Too close, so I think the bow blocks it a little bit.
Easy. Easy. Gotcha.
Yeah. It's
Crap
too...
is fast.
You can see here that Ellie is very, she's very trained with the bow. In the game, she's never really shown to be like really skillful with a lot of weaponry except her knife. Because Joel had to teach her how to use a rifle, but she's pretty good with a pistol. She says she's shot one before and all of that. But with the bow, she's only said like she knows how to use it. We've never actually seen her use a bow up until now. But obviously we're playing as her, so if she sucks, then it's probably because you suck. But this deer, in both the game and in the show, it is basically absolute necessity that Ellie gets this deer. Because, like I said, they're running really low on food. And the bunny in the game is very low, so she's absolutely desperate to get this deer. To be able to get way more off of the deer. While in the show, it's even worse for Ellie because she wasn't able to get the deer, she wasn't able to get any other things, and this deer is even more in need, or like that she needs it way more in the show than in the games, which is I guess is a pretty good change. I would say. I stuff in something. I think I'd make the deer run. Where'd it go? Go that way? No, it went this way.
Are you still alive?
How are you still alive? You have like 2 arrows in you. Come on now. This is a lumber mill, I think it is.
What is this place?
I think it's a lumber mill. It reminds me of where is it in Red Dead, where you find the O'Driscoll like can.
This place is not creepy at all.
It definitely is. Don't even lie. Explosive. Lucky that we keep finding these comics around the map, or the game.
Awesome.
Look for it. Do me.
Oh.
Your tickets.
Who's there? Come out!
So another difference in the game, obviously we have to shoot the deer a couple times before we're able to actually kill it. In the show, Ellie actually shoots it once and then finds it sort of dead already. So.
Hello? We just want to talk.
Any sudden moves and I put one right between your eyes. Ditto for Buddy Boy over there. What do you want?
Name's David. This here's my friend James. We're from a larger group. Women, children. They're all very, very hungry.
So am I. Women and children, all very hungry too.
So this also happens in the show, except it's a bit different. We met up with a group of people earlier in the episode, or not a group of people, but like in the beginning of the episode with the dude reading out of the Bible, or the book of Revelation. I don't know what the difference is. I am not a huge religious person. Apologize. And they just find the deer dead. And then they decide whether or not they can take it, or they should just wait for the people who got it. And that's when Ellie pops out and says
Well,
nearly the exact same
maybe
lines.
we could trade you for some of that meat there. What do you need? Weapons? Ammo? Clothes?
Medicine! Do you have any antibiotics?
We do. Back at the camp. You're welcome to follow us
I'm
back.
not following you anywhere.
Notice how
Buddy
Ellie's
boy
very
can go get it.
untrustworthy.
He comes back with what I need. The deer is all yours. Anyone else shows up,
You put one right between my eyes.
that's right.
2 bottles of the penicillin in a syringe. Make it fast.
Penicillin.
Go on.
I'll take that rifle.
Maybe tomorrow. Later.
Of course.
Back up.
Also, another difference between the game and the show, we see Ellie with a bow, while in the show, she just has a rifle. That was Joel's before he passes out and nearly dies. And she doesn't really... Like, she asked for the rifle of both of the guys, both this guy and the other guy. This guy's name is David. Remember that name. And the other guy's name is James.
Bring him with us.
There. You know, you really shouldn't be out here all on your own.
I don't like company.
I see. What's your name?
Why?
Look, I understand it's not easy to trust a couple of strangers. Whoever's hurt, you clearly care about them. Sure, it's gonna be just fine.
We'll see.
Ellie's very untrustworthy. She's not willing to share her name with David.
You had another gun?
Sorry. Hey, I'd really like my rifle back now.
No, you have your pistol.
You know how to use that thing.
I've had some practice.
I think in the first game, it might have
What,
been
we
a
have to keep
revolver.
them out. Let's hope they don't find it. Cover the windows.
Okay.
Take every shot out now.
I've done this before.
They're in here.
I actually missed. I've done this before as I missed my shot. Oh my god. Help me, help me. Help me, David. Okay.
You weren't kidding. You're a better shot with that thing than I am. Give me
Oh
a
man, I
hand.
missed some shots still.
Oh, come on!
Okay, buddy.
And I'm coming through the windows. All right. More infected on this side. It's a big pack. They must have followed you.
Maybe they followed you and your friend.
Maybe.
It doesn't matter. We're stuck in this together.
I I'm so glad that everything's going
Keep it
on
up, kid.
properly. Shoot him again. Okay, oh no. Okay, buddy. That's a lot of dudes. Help me. What happened? I'm so... Okay. Okay.
Oh, Lord, there's a whole lot of them coming at us.
Yeah, I see him.
Yeah.
Kid! Way to go, kid!
What's the goodness?
out of this room.
Oh, now we're getting out of this room.
All right, keep
Go then.
this way. Come on, I'll block their path. Cover the stairs. Follow me through here.
Okay.
Lucky break.
Do you know where you're going?
Never set foot in this place.
Great.
Oh, great.
It's clear. This way.
Right behind you.
How are you holding up?
You don't need to worry about me.
All right. Stay close.
Now we're separated.
Hey, kid, you all right?
I'm fine.
More clickers. Get out of there!
It's a brick. It's actually something I need. Where's this guy looking? What's after that? Kills me apparently. Oh, I gotta stop. Oh, that was almost really bad. Some alcohol. Okay. That was almost really bad. Okay, we're good. So now where do we go? Actually, I have no idea. Oh, this way. Okay.
You all right?
There you are.
Come on. Door's this way.
Trash everywhere. Joel would have the time of his life over here. All these supplies, crafting.
We're so close. We need to get up there. There. That ladder could work.
I know. Yep.
Here. Come here. Boost me up.
Okay, ready? Here. You be quick, and you keep a lookout for those things.
I know.
Okay. Go across some stuff. Okay. There's dude down there, and there's dude down there. I feel like there's another dude.
Everything all right?
Yeah, it's okay.
Peachy. Oh, another Firefly pennant. That's old too. It's rusted. Travis Kristoff, 283. Crab, crab, crab. Okay.
All right. Here we go.
Come on. All right, look out.
I would hate to be in this. It's too cold for me.
Through here.
Okay.
We need to find a way out of here.
Yeah, no shit. Okay, old man.
Show me.
Jeez. Looks like someone already fought those things and lost.
Been looking for these boys. Doesn't matter. You grab their gear. I'm gonna look for an exit.
Nothing new for you.
Keep your eyes open for anything we can use.
See anything?
It's a dead end. How on earth did they use this building?
So what do?
We hold our ground.
Is there any other choice?
We die.
Right.
Get ready.
Here they come. Okay. Shoot him. That's squishy.
You hear that?
I know.
Okay. ¿Dónde? Great, of course. ¿Dónde está? I love being interrupted. Alright. Oh my god. Oh.
We're doing fine, kid.
It doesn't feel like it.
Here come more.
How many of these?
Just keep at it. Kid!
Is that a stalker?
Joe!
Where? There you are. Okay. That's a bloater.
What?
One of those big fucking guys!
Too seriously? Oh my god. No. Dead? Finally. Okay.
Hey, kid.
Yeah?
You know, I think we did it.
Like we killed all of them?
Oh, don't sound so disappointed.
More like disbelief.
I'll check the bridge.
Okay. So we've seen the last of us left behind. Or at least Pennant.
I miss you.
Oh, I didn't know they made that. Oh, that's cool. Little line makes it all better.
Listen,
No infected.
no infected. What'd I tell you? All right, let's head on back. Check on that buck of ours.
So with all of that,
Well, you handled yourself pretty nice back there. Whew. I'd say we make a pretty good team.
We got lucky.
Lucky? No. No such thing as luck.
okay. So with all of this, Ellie has finally somewhat trusted David. How do I know this? Well, obviously I played the game, so she trusts him. But also, she's no longer pointing a gun at him. She's no longer sort of skeptical. She's no longer just looking at him with sort of skepticism, I guess is the word. And they do it differently in the show. Obviously, there's going to be differences, which is the whole point of me doing this. I'm just telling you the differences. David is trying to recruit Ellie in their cult, and Ellie is, because in the show it's perceived as a cult, and Ellie even says cult. Ellie is very much like, no, that's so weird. Like, why would I, do that? And he mentions how God probably led him here, and like, you'd be really good with us, like, blah, 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 like all of the different typical things that people would usually say to get someone to trust them. Try to tell them their names, try to tell them like, I don't know, like what they do, what they did. For David, he was a teacher turned preacher and left the Pittsburgh QZ. In the show, he says it in the show. In the game, it's never really said what happens to him because we don't have this whole conversation between them. And the reason we know he's a preacher is because he found God after the apocalypse fell, and people looked up to him, people followed him, in the words of God, quote unquote. And at some point, Ellie starts to trust him a bit more because she starts. It's sort of reminiscent of in the last episode how I mentioned there was a talk between Ellie and a officer. The reason I bring this up is because in the show, he convinces Ellie like that Fedra is on their side, and Fedra is probably the better sort of leaders, which is why she hates the Fireflies a bit more in the show, or yeah, hates Fedra a bit less in the show because they were able to convince her about what Fedra's supposed to be doing. Same thing happens with David in the show, so she starts trusting him a bit more and no longer fully points a gun at him. He also starts pointing out like certain insecurities, or not insecurities, but certain failures that they've had, like running away from the Pittsburgh QZ, running away from Raiders because a whole bunch of the time they lost their settlements. And so then Ellie starts to trust him. The reason I mentioned religion at the start is because of this next conversation.
Now, you see, I believe that everything happens for a reason.
I mean, obviously he's also a preacher, but...
Sure.
I do. And I can prove it to you. Now, this winter, that's been especially cruel. A few weeks back, I sent a group of men out nearby town to look for food. Only a few came back. They said that the others had been slaughtered by a crazy man. And get this, he's a crazy man traveling
with
a little girl.
That's when everything shifts.
Everything happens for a reason. Don't get upset. It's not your fault. You're just a kid. James, lower the gun.
Lower the gun.
No way, David. I'm not gonna let her go.
Lower the gun. Now give her the medicine.
The others won't be happy about this.
Yeah, well, that's not your concern.
Move the fuck out of the way.
You won't survive long out there. I can protect you.
Oh, thanks.
So if you didn't get it by now, and if you didn't get it by now, they were the group that had attacked Joel and Ellie in the university. It happens same way in the show and in the game. And remember when I mentioned the little girl, a little girl wanting to grieve for her father, like whether or not they're going to bury him or not. The dad was the guy who stabbed Joel in the show, and the guy that Joel kills after the stabbing. Everything happens for a reason, he says. I wish that was I really wish that was the title of the episode, but it wasn't. A quick side note, and a fun fact. In the game, David is played by the Doctor, Dr. Edward Victorfin. His name is Nolan North. He's Nathan Drake. He's just everywhere. Actually, I can't even just name a couple. He's Nathan Drake, obviously. He's Also, Dr. Edward Richtofen from the Black Ops Zombies games, which are the two biggest ones that I know off the top of my head. But a quick funny thing about him, they really tried, like, Nolan North really tried his best to make sure that nobody could recognize him. Because they don't want to just make him sound like Nathan Drake, because there's something that happens later on. And they don't really initially tell him, or like, not initially tell him, like, they don't initially, like, in the credits, like, whenever it's like, oh, like, here are the actors and people who worked on this game. Nolan North is very hidden in the credits. I didn't notice it. I never knew he was in the game until I saw them play themselves. But that's cool. And also in the show, this is for the show, the guy who points the gun at Ellie, James, the guy who gives him the medicine and who says that people are not going to be happy, he is played by Troy Baker. Who is Troy Baker? Well, at this point, you feel like you should know. Troy Baker is Joel Miller in Game, which I find really funny because James in the game and in the show is really upset at David for letting Ellie go because Ellie is a part of, or was with Joel, who killed a couple of their guys, which I find really funny because, again, in the show, James is played by Troy Baker, who's Joel, and he's mad at Joel in the show for killing a group of people when he actually plays the same character who does the exact same thing. I just find that really funny and really cool. But yeah, David finds the crazy man and the little girl, and James isn't happy about it. And so they run back with Ellie, trying to run away and get as far away as possible.
Joel? I only managed to get a little bit of food. But I did get this. Move your arm.
That's really bad. It's really infected.
Here we go. Sorry. Well done. That's it.
So, another quick side note that I just remembered. I mentioned how I felt, like in the last episode I mentioned how Left Behind is a bit weird in the sense that the Left Behind DLC came out after, and the show Left Behind is in between the university and this episode. The reason being is because in the game, when it first came out, when we first play as Ellie, and after Joel passes out, or looks like like when he falls off the horse, it was sort of a point where a lot of people, I've seen a lot of clips from the first time playing it, I did the same thing too, where it's sort of a fake out. We think that Joel died. And then obviously later she mentions medicine and a crazy man, and then we see Joel here alive, barely. And the Left Behind DLC is actually supposed to be like another, like, sort of, just like filling the gaps, like what happened between the university and now. In the reason I think it's a bit weird is because this point was supposed to throw off the show, or like throw off like Joel's dead and Ellie is all alone by herself, with nothing, no one to protect her, nothing. until obviously this happens, where it's like, oh, he's still alive, but barely. I don't know. I'm still sort of like a bit weird about that, but also it does make sense as to why they made that episode come first, because it's, for one, to show like between, and also I feel like it's the only way we can sort of see a backstory of the Left Behind, because that was, I feel like that's necessary for the main story of the last of the show, because there's no way they're gonna make like the last episode be like the between sort of section. I feel like they might have been a way, but it makes sense as to why they didn't do that sort of fake out in the show. But yeah.
You're gonna
Dude,
make
he's
it.
freezing. His lips are blue. He also has a fever. Notice how Ellie lets him be comfortable. She cares for him. He's feeling a bit better. So this is another difference in the show. Actually, let's play this. Hey, I feel like it would have been easy to track some of this snow. I feel like in the zombie apocalypse, I would not want to be in easily tracked areas. Those easily tracked areas be like very snowy, like sort of mountains and sand, I guess would be another. And just being in the woods in general, because those places you can easily be tracked, I feel like. Other places, it's like, you can still be tracked, but it's a bit harder.
Are we even sure she's here?
And more horse tracks down the fucking street.
She's here. Hey, I got her! Get your ass over here!
No.
What are you waiting for? Shoot her! But David said... Fuck David!
No!
Shoot her now!
Let's go, boy.
But David said, but F what David said.
Don't let her through. Aim for the horse! Gotcha!
Grab your knife up here. Stab him.
What the hell do they want?
Why can't I? There we go. Turn this way, turn this way. No!
Come get me, you motherfuckers!
Get away! The horse! Shoot the fucking horse!
Why would you want to shoot the horse?
Oh, man.
Callus is dead.
Shit.
Where is she? Right there! By the
Oh.
horse! She's running for the cab!
I don't have any ammo on my pistol. And now I do. It's trying to look up for me. Okay. It's gotta be so cold. And she was tossing and turning in the snow. Dude, oh, no, I can't even think about it. It's so bad. I would hate to be in this situation. First off, it's cold. Strike one.
David said he wants her alive. He doesn't get to make that call. James told me it's the girl from the university. How many of our guys were killed there?
Oh, shit. I didn't know that was her. Screw David then. I ain't taking a chance with this.
I just want to finish up and go home. I'm freezing my ass off.
Huh? Got you.
Not here. The wrong guy. Oh, this is a dead end. Ooh. I missed. Ow.
I got you now. You ain't going nowhere.
Really? But oh, okay.
You're gonna pay for that.
Oh, we started off here.
Whoa! He's over here.
I'm.
Cover me. I'm moving up.
God. Nope. Give me this. Give me all of this. Look at the dudes. There's more. There's more of you. Where are you at? Maybe you don't have any pistol ammo. You're lying. There's a thing here. I saw it and I missed it. It's right here. Just. Where?
She ain't here. Spread out.
Oh, he's a shotgun. Yeah. I don't see him. So here's the worst part about this, right? They're hunting me, right? These dudes are like adults, right? I'm a 14-year-old girl who, up until this point, I've been protected. How is this fair? Like, I'd be complaining the entire time. I'd be fuming. Like, dude, I barely learned how to tie my shoe the other day. I barely learned how to whistle, okay? So this isn't fair. I'd be complaining the entire time. I'd be questioning everything they did. Like, no joke. Like, really? I'd poorly roast them. Like, I'd roast them, but it would be really bad roast.
Where'd they go?
Where? Oh. Okay. I know where they went. It's just, how do I kill them? I thought it was small left time. I was so scared. my god. Okay. Sure about that? I reckon I killed you, so, you know. I reckon it was a good move since you're both dead, you know? But I don't know, it's just me. It might just be me.
Okay, that should get me out of here.
Okay. About this way.
Here we go. Okay, don't fall in the water. Don't fall in. Oh, shit.
She really loved Joel, though. I mean, it makes sense it's why she loved Joel. She did it so she can lure them away. But it's more just... not smart. The more I think about it, it's smart. I mean, I can't do anything, but... good. Acknowledge that it's smart. So... since we're here and nothing's really happening, in the show... my throat. In the show, it's actually... a lot of this happens differently. So after Ellie gives Joel the medicine, we cut back to the cult. I'm gonna call them the cult for the rest of this. They
Here we go.
basically discuss like certain things. They heard about Joel and Ellie being in the area, or at least Ellie being in the area. And so, like in the game, David had let her go, and James was very upset that they let him go, or let her go. And
That's the way back.
so he promises them that he would lead the search for Joel and Ellie. And so he's actually out here, which is different because obviously in the game, David's not here, James is not here, and there's way more people also. Because in the game, obviously, there's a whole bunch of guys because it's a game and there has to be obstacles.
Not hiding somewhere over here.
In the show, it's just like David, James, and 4 other dudes. My brother's folding. Where are the other dudes?
Hey, she's over here!
Okay, buddy.
Go! I'm getting close!
Oh, you're like right there, though.
Hey!
Heal. I don't know where this dude's coming from.
You loser!
Should we do this right there? That was another dude. Are they dead? Okay.
How do I get out of here? I don't want to get trapped in here.
That's the only way.
Where's the way out?
So that's the way out. Also, why is there just bullets in drawers? Okay. Let's get more dudes, right? I think. Yep. Now, here's the thing. That's the problem I'm not having, right? It's that, there's this dude. He's alive.
He's on this side of the lodge!
How did he...
Got her!
And he didn't.
Okay, go! Watch my back.
Run. He's up. Also, how do you have just 6 bullets? Where'd he go? Where'd he go?
There's the exit.
I actually have no idea where he went. Okay. And we're captured.
Relax. Keeping you alive here. There you go. There you go.
And like in the show, or like in the game, they're captured in the show. But the difference is and it happens earlier, and obviously it's because it's a show and they don't want to do these stealth and being chased sort of scenes. She's chased and then she's shot off her horse because the horse dies still, sadly. And then James, who's also there, proceeds to aim a gun in her face, but then David shoots a gun in the air to stop them from doing that. David picks up Ellie and then tells whoever else to bring the horse with them back to their settlement. The rest of them stays there to look for Joel because they know that Joel is alive because there's a reason she needed medicine. That's the difference. And that's that difference. Except it's not really a difference because it's very similar, just different. Also, before anything else happens, earlier, when David goes back to tell everybody about what's going to happen, they have food. It's apparently told that it's venison, okay? But it's very hesitant when they say venison. And in the show, David is talking to his people about like a whole thing. This is like when he says like, "Oh, we're gonna go look for them ourselves." Remember when I mentioned the little girl says, her dad burying her dad, and Joel killed him in the show. She blurts out, "We gotta kill them. You gotta get justice for what they did to my father." David, just completely out of nowhere, this completely caught me off guard, slaps the hell out of her, or the hell into her. I'll get to that later. And basically says, you don't judge you don't get to decide what happens. And after that, they say grace because they're going to eat venison, and then they do whatever. So Ellie's taken to the camp, and then David and Ellie have a little chat. which also happens in the game, but after this. Because then Ellie finds out that they are cannibals. Remember when I said venison? It's not venison. It's...
How are you feeling?
human.
Here. You should eat. I know you're hungry. You've been out for quite some time.
What is it?
It's deer.
With some human helping on the side?
No. No, I promise. It's just the deer meat.
You're a fucking animal.
It's awfully quick
Actually,
to
it's
judge
like an
me,
animal.
considering you and your friend killed how many men?
They didn't give us a choice.
And you think we have a choice? Is that it?
Yeah.
You kill to survive. And so do we. We have to take care of our own, by any means necessary.
So now what? You gonna chop me up into tiny pieces?
I'd rather not. Please tell me your name.
You're so full of shit.
He just asked
Contrary.
for one thing, Ellie, or
I've been,
her name,
been quite honest with you.
to see if he can trust her.
Now I think it's your turn. It's the only way I'm going to be able to convince the others
Convince them of what?
that you can come around. You have heart. You're loyal. And you're special.
Okay. Before I pause this, before it gets to some other details, in the game, or in the show, it's a bit different. Obviously, in the game, they never really mention anything about, like, religion or, like, them being a part of a quote-unquote cult. In the game, or obviously in the show, they talk about the Bible, like they read off the book of Revelation, and David in the show is a preacher. He is said to be a preacher, or a teacher turned preacher, because he found God. But it's a bit more talked about in this sort of scene in the show. In the show, they have a little chat about how, like, you know, the same thing, like, I just want your name so we can convince them, like, you know, that you can come around and whatever. But it gets weirder. So he says he found God after the apocalypse happened. That's not the full story. Apparently he says that something awakened in him. He's a bad person at heart, but because of the apocalypse, it's what showed his inner self, his true self. And the whole reason he found out about everything was because of the cordyceps. They kill, they eat, they love, which isn't fully true because the cordyceps is a fungus, which is a organism. It's sort of like a tree. It's living, but it's not. It doesn't do things on, like, you know, feelings or like thinking. They do it on instinct, which is something that makes no sense to why he said it. I feel like it was intentional by by Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann. I'm hoping that it was intentional from them. But they basically just talk about just how special Ellie is and how he can convince her to join us and to trust him. Again, especially after the fact that they were looking for him and Joel. And now she sees that they are cannibals. Why am I blanking? I'm looking through my notes. When I mentioned how Joel, or David, he says he is violent at heart, and the whole end of the world awakened that sort of side of him. I feel like it's a sort of the opposite for Joel. Because Joel at the beginning was, or sort of, Joel at the beginning had some sort of heart. He cared for his daughter, Sarah, a whole bunch until after she died, he sort of just closed off from the world. He has just a brick wall that basically shields him from any sort of feelings and just caring for anyone else except himself and for Tess. And that is until Ellie awakens the father again. Throughout the entire game, obviously, he's just been very distant. He's been very closed off from Ellie. He's only seen her as cargo and not really much else. Like in the conversation in the show, Tess was family to Joel, and Ellie is just cargo. But that changed after after Jackson, when Joel realizes that he is more like his daughter than he realized, and he sort of gets a second chance at redemption, or his third chance, technically. And that's sort of the difference between Joel and David. Joel actually is good in his heart. Really deep down, he is actually more good than he is evil, and just because in the show, or in the game and in the show, he's portrayed as just a hard, sort of very gruff, very tough type of dude. He's actually has a very soft side, very deep inside, but it's slowly being chiseled away because of Ellie. And David was a very nice dude before the apocalypse, and slowly turned into a bad dude. This dude, when I first played this game, this dude was just creepy off rip. Right? He was just creepy off rip. He was just so weird and so creepy that I just couldn't see anything, just like, this dude is sketchy. But I also do see the appeal of him being like, oh, he's a good guy at first. That is until he truly reveals himself as a cannibal, a full-blown cannibal. And in the show, he mentions how not all of his group knows, or at least something that Screen Crush mentioned in his video. He mentioned how they actually just don't choose to believe that they're eating cannibal. And that's why they continue to say venison. That's why they say venison a lot. Earlier I mentioned how they were running low on venison. Venison might have been a code name for humans, because they're running low on people. And when they send people to look for food, they're actually looking for more people to kill and to eat. Why is Ellie any different to David? Well, in the game, it's more just he sees something different in her. Obviously, she's special. Same thing goes in the show, and they just want to kill Joel because, for one, he killed someone of theirs, but also because he is, why am I blanking on, he's food. There's the term that I was thinking of, or like a saying, but I can't remember. And everything goes, it's sort of just weird and sort of just like, this dude's crazy. Until that special. And then Ellie rejects it.
Stupid little girl. You are making it very difficult to keep you alive. What am I supposed to tell the others now?
Ellie,
What?
tell them that Ellie is the little girl that broke your fucking finger.
How did you put it? Tiny pieces.
And his true evil self is revealed.
See you in the morning, Ellie.
So, in the show, I mentioned how David in the show like sees the cordyceps as like animals and just all of that, and then he mentions love. That is supposed to be a nod to his creepy side. He is still creepy in the show, and it's still just in my mind. It's still really crazy because also he says that Ellie can be his equal. She can be his other half. It's not really explicitly said as what he means as the other half, but he just says that, and we obviously know what that means. But he also wants Ellie to rule. I think he says rule, or just watch over people with him, to be another follower of his. That's sort of what he's trying to get at in the show. And then Joel wakes up in the game. In the show, it actually happens earlier. It's around the same time when Ellie is taken. And he does it, and he immediately kills a dude. And then that's when we cut to Ellie in the cell.
Ellie?
Imagine how weak Joel must be, just waking up and he realizes that his daughter is no longer here. And also look at the blood on that. He slept with his gun, like, on him.
Where the hell are you?
So on the show, this actually is sort of different in art. Not different, but it's sort of framed differently in the show and in the game. In the show, not framed. Ooh.
Ellie! Where'd she run off to?
Oh. Joel isn't really
Shit. Cover me. I'm moving up.
Come at me then. I missed. So this sort of thing happens in the show, where he's finding out the remaining of his crew. There's only 3 left in the show, not this many in the show.
Don't let him get you!
Don't let him get you as he dies. Okay. And it's sort of cut between Ellie's conversation with David and or basically just that. They're in the show. It's cut between the different, or the different sort of, or in between the conversation of Ellie and David. Some sort of creepy, sort of follower, like, oh, join us and we'll be, unstoppable. Did I miss? There we go. does all of this, by the way, no problem in the show. I mean, obviously in the game, but he's still very weak, so I don't know how that works, but he does it.
I got you now, asshole!
Do you? Okay, some stuff. I cracked anything? No, I'm actually full on everything. Okay.
Gotcha, asshole! Finish him off! Hold him still! Oh, shit!
So,
Here, come with me.
come with me.
Let me go, I'll fuck you up.
You're on the floor, dude. You lost to a 50-year-old dude who's stabbed. And then this is where back to reality. So, everyone likes to say that Joel is a good person. He's a hero. He is not a bad dude. And it's sort of true for the most part. People like to overlook a lot of the bad things about him. This is a reminder that Joel is still a bad dude. He is still a survivor at heart. This is supposed to be a reminder.
Now, the girl. Is she alive?
What girl? I don't know no girl.
Another fun fact, the motion capture for this guy, he's also played by Nolan North. He doesn't do the voice though.
The girl.
He also looks like Tommy for some reason.
She's alive. She's David's newest pet.
Where?
In the town. In the town.
Now you're gonna mark it on the map. And it better be the same exact spot your buddy points to. Mark it.
It's right there. You can verify it. Go ask him. Go on. I tell you, I ain't lying. I ain't. Fuck you, man. He told you what you wanted. I ain't telling you shit.
That's all right.
I believe him.
I believe him.
No, wait!
Damn. Alright.
Wakey, wakey. Come on.
Let's go! Stop!
I warned you.
I'm infected! I'm infected!
Really?
So are you. Right there. Roll up my sleeve. Look at it!
I'll play along.
That's a huge knife.
What'd you say?
It's like a butcher's knife, but it's not a cleaver.
Everything happens for a reason, right?
What the hell is that? She would have turned by now. It can't be real.
Looks pretty fucking real to me.
I'm getting this happening in the show. You're so lucky she got her knife back.
Shit. Oh my god. What the fuck is wrong with these people?
Where you going, Ellie?
Nah, dude, you're creepy, for real. Is this the way? This is the way. Nope, it's not the way.
Fuck. It's locked.
Man, you creepy for real, for
I
real.
need a gun.
Alright. You need a gun, well, guess what? I don't think it's really gonna be helpful in this point in the game. It's not gonna be that helpful.
heard gunshots. Infected. What? The girl. She's infected and she got out.
This is bad, David.
I need you to round up everyone who isn't armed and get them clear out of here. We're gonna find that girl. We're gonna kill her.
Oh my god. I'll take the kids to the shelter.
Go.
So this is another difference between the game and the show. David in the game, obviously, he's really upset about Ellie. And he explicitly says that he wants to kill Ellie. In the show, this actually sort of conversation doesn't really happen. Okay. It immediately cuts to another part of that's actually in the game. Okay. Bottles of bricks. We're gonna bring this up to a vote. These cannibals. Something that I actually do want to sort of address is, do the rest of David's group know that David is a cannibal?
Right here!
Okay.
You're gonna pay!
Oh no! You're gonna make me.
Where do you think you're going?
Die. Ooh. Survival of the fittest. Bullets. Okay. We have ammo. Fighting for a life out here. Also, something interesting, I just thought it was kind of fun to know. Ashley Johnson, the person who plays Ellie, when she plays Inverted. She's a gamer, she plays Inverted. I don't know how important that is, I just thought that would be neat to, and it's just like a fun fact. Oh, okay.
Which way?
So now we're trying to fight our way out. Try to escape this crazy place. Where? Oh, I haven't spotted me. Over there. There's a dude, if there is a dude right there.
This place is a damn maze.
No, but like it is.
What if she bites him? Relax, she's not biting anybody. I'm saying we could have a real situation here. We already have a situation. We're gonna take care of it. Stay focused, let's find her.
Well, what you got?
Nothing. What about you?
Same. Let's keep looking.
Anything?
Hey, she's on...
You know what? Where are you? Where'd you shoot me from? That way.
Keep her down!
where? So that.
Don't lose her!
Very nimble. Quick. That's my advantage. Again, Ellie's not Joel, where she can just bust through doors and just beat people up with just her bare fist. What? Dang it. What even was that? I can kick? What? I know being crushed.
Relax, not fighting anybody. I'm saying we can have a real situation here. We already have a situation. We're gonna take care of it. Just stay focused, it's fine. I got nothing over this way. Me either.
Go search the alley.
Over here!
You're gonna pay for this, you little shit!
Excuse me.
Don't lose her!
Another dude? I see another dude nearby. Okay. 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 I think we're good. This is what
Where'd I go?
I kind of hate this part because of just how hard it is to see.
It's so damn cold.
Yeah. Dude, I would hate to beat this. Actually, cold this much. I would say like anything below like 40. Not anything below 40. I would say anything below 60 is really cold for me. I would love 100 degree weather. Okay, so this part. Okay. So, in the show, after Ellie kills James and she escapes the cutting, like she's about to die, she's chased into the cafeteria, and that's sort of what happens in the show. So there isn't a whole point where she's running around the city or the town trying to escape them. It's more of a just immediately it's cuts to here. And it's also around this time when Joel figures out where Ellie is. In the show, it's more like which town and where is the town that you guys are at. It's actually not a town, it's a resort, which is sort of a fake, sort of facade of like what they're doing. Oh,
You're easy to track. How did you do it? That's all right.
oh.
Nowhere to go. You want out? Gonna have to come get these keys.
Something happens in the show. She's
No, you're not
currently
infected.
chased
No
by,
one that's infected fights this hard to stay alive.
in the game, or in the show, she's still pursued by David.
So what is it, Ellie? I gotta admit, you had me back there. For a second, you shook my faith. Only for a second.
I just want to point out something. I think it's sort of
Hey, Ellie,
interesting.
I'm sorry about your horse.
Oh my god.
I truly am.
Again, this
I
is
hope
from
you take
Screen
comfort
Crush.
in knowing that we won't waste any part of it.
You fuck.
And he's saying that you didn't eat the horse.
You know, I really wish you hadn't killed James. He was a good kid. Just doing his job. In fact, all those people you killed. It's just gonna make our group stronger. Fewer mouths to feed. That was good, kid. It's gonna be all right.
Full blown machete. Mother. No, just meat. Oh. I gotta pause it because I'm fully invested. In the show, I just want to point out, like, the fire. Screen Crush made a really good point about the fire. The fire is a symbol of just rage, right? Right now, David is angry that Ellie won't accept being a part of the group. And in the game, it's more David is angry at Ellie for killing and for just, again, not accepting being a part of the group. But I also feel like David in the show, the fire sort of represents his actual inner self. He portrays himself as a good dude. He portrays himself as someone who's trying to help his group of people, like his group, to survive. When in reality, he's more just very angry. He's very, like, he wants to be in control. He's taking advantage of his group's faith in God, and he's using it to be in control and keep people in line. The few people he had who trusted him were also sort of losing faith in him. Early in the episode, he mentions how James was losing faith in, not in the sense of God, but more in the way that David was leading them. And that's sort of what the fire is representing. It's more his inner self, his inner, just like, he's not a man of God. He's not a man of faith. He's not a man of who is actually trying to help his group. He is a person who's what is the word? He's lied to his entire group about all the things that he could do, and all he had to do is have faith in him. And he's just using that to just do whatever he wants. And in the show's case, it's just to keep them in line. In the game, it's not really shown as to, we don't really see much of his group. We only see James, and we see a couple of the guys who attack Joel and Ellie. But we don't see anybody else. We hear that they have children, they have other people, they have a whole town. We don't really know much about that, but it's still sort of the same thing, where he's to deceit Ellie into thinking that he is a good person. He has gained her trust only to betray her. Like the line that Maria said in the previous episode, I literally have it written down here. Be careful who you put your faith in. The only people who can betray us are the ones we trust. And I would say, for Ellie, it's putting her trust into David. She feels most betrayed by him because of the way he is, the way he acts, and just the way he's lied to her. And I also feel like the characters, or like the group, the cult, I'm not going to say cult, like David's followers in the show did the same exact thing. They put their faith into David. They trusted David. But in reality, they're a fool to believe. They're fools in believing in David, because he has lied to them about what they're eating. They've lied to him about what he is capable of doing. He has lied and given a bad name for the Lord. And he's constantly there's a word, it starts with a D. Lied. It's another synonym for lying. Deceit, I think. That's sort of what the fire is sort of doing. This is his hell. Or not his hell, this is Ellie's hell. And this is where David resides. Also, another thing, in the show, I mentioned how David is sort of, or in the game, he's sort of creepy. Right? He touches Ellie in the hand like, you're special. That sort of thing. In the show, it's a bit worse. In the show, he is constantly saying, like, equal. You can be there with me as we do everything. And throughout the entire time when he's chasing Ellie and trying to catch Ellie, he's saying so many creepy things. Like, you don't know how good I am. You don't know what we could accomplish together. Love is a very strange thing. And that sort of, I sort of see it as, like another thing. I mentioned how he slaps a girl. That girl was grieving her father's death, that because Joel killed him. It's fine, you lost a father, you're going to be upset, you're going to be really angry. I don't blame her for being angry at Joel and Ellie for her father's death. But he slaps her. For one, I think it's because she's talking out of line. She is making her own decision, telling David what to do, when David wants to be in control and wants to keep people in line. But also, I sort of feel like this is going to be really weird. I know this is going to be really, really bad. I think this girl, because she's like in her teens, is a lover of David's. It's going to be really weird, but because David in the show is even worse off as being a bad word I can't say on YouTube. He would do it to somebody else, not just Ellie. That's just something I wanted to point out. If is it true, I don't know. I hope it's not true in the thing, but it's something I just wanted to quickly bring up about this episode. But yeah.
You keep surprising me. It's a shame you wouldn't come around.
Bricks.
But it's too late now. Give up now and promise to be quick. Promise.
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
One.
I see you.
Where is he? Where is he? Okay. Also, another difference that I just want to quickly point out. While David is chasing Ellie, he's not trying to kill her. He's actually still trying to convert her into his group. In this show, or in the game, obviously, she's trying to kill Ellie and try to capture her and basically punish her for being so disobedient. Oh. You're trying to hide from me? is definitely creepy. What? Is there any bottles? Anything I can use? It's gotta be something, right? Fire spreading. Pods. Where'd you just go? I genuinely have no idea where you went. That's scaring me. No longer in the kitchen. I have no idea where he is. Hold on. That's something I want to make sure. Because I remember thinking about this, and I didn't know if it was fully true. Okay. Earlier in the episode, Ellie comes across the deer, and she hunts down the deer, both in the show and in the game. I feel like the deer is a symbol for something else. Deers are usually, hold on. It says here wait, is this? No. That's not the one. Deer, I guess, from this meaning. I thought it was going to mean something else, but I guess not. Deer are very agile creatures. They're very graceful, they're very gentle, and they're also very devoted. I feel like Ellie sort of presents that in sort of the sense that she's a very agile person. Like, it's a very clear contrast between Joel and Ellie. Joel is very, like, slow. He's very, like, tough. He's very just, like, he'd rather go into a fist fight in a sort of confrontation than just what Ellie would do, which is sneak around, use her agility to run around, use other things to her advantage, and just run on instinct. But also devotion, which is probably the one thing that I guess she was close to doing in the show. She was devoted to Fedra at the beginning of the first episode. She was very devoted to Fedra because she saw them as, again, keeping things together. She sees them as being the perfect thing to keep things from being too chaotic, and they're useful. Until obviously Riley changes her mind on that, and then also being a part of Fireflies is also another thing that sort of changed that. But also, again, with this episode with David. In the show, she is somewhat convinced by David's words. That is until he betrays her. Again, another time when things change because of certain things that happens to her. But also, another thing which I also wanted to point out, because I just remembered this also, in Red Dead Redemption 2, yeah, I'm pointing out Red Dead Redemption 2, it's really weird. In the game, throughout the game, depending on your choices, there would be little, like, cutscenes depicting a certain animal. Now, depending on depending on your, what is it? What is the word? Whether you're good or bad in the game, reputation. Is it reputation? Is it reputation? Okay. Whether or not you're good or bad. If you're bad, you see a wolf. There's another symbolism there, but I'm not going to go into that because that's not important. The other one is a deer. If you're a good person, you see deer. And in the game, and in the show, Ellie sees a deer, sort of representing her sort of spirit animal being the deer, because she is, at heart, she is a very gentle, she's very loving, she's very caring, she's not a bad person. Same thing goes with Joel. It's sort of, at first I feel like he's more of a wolf, and then he slowly progresses into being a better person. And it's because of Ellie, because she is the deer in his life, I feel like. And then Ellie obviously sees the deer because that's sort of her character. I saw him, and I don't know where he went. I don't know where he went. I heard him though. I saw him. Where did he go? He just disappears, and I don't have any bricks. Or do I have any bottles to just trick him? Where did this dude go? How did this old dude just get away? I saw him, and now I don't see. Oh. Don't move, don't move, don't move, don't move, don't move, don't move, don't move. Don't move, don't move, They'll finally arrives at Silver Lake, settled in 1882. Dude, imagine how bad Joel's gotta be. Like, he just woke up from, like, the worst type of, like, hangover. He kind of looks like Santa Claus.
Keep searching. She comes through here, we gotta catch her.
We should be guarding the shelter. We got an infected running around the town. Guarding this damn exit.
Look, the kid is deadly. We don't know where she's gonna turn up next. Just keep your eyes and ears open. Watch yourself. Whoa! I see him!
Don't let him get away.
Not here.
He's over here, by the shelves.
Flank him!
Keep him down. Don't let him get away. He's over here.
Keep your eyes!
Shot him in the head. What the heck? Got all that. There's more there. So what I do this without like alerting me.
He's gone.
Here's a dude. Where? Where's the other dude? There's another dude. I can't see him. There's another dude. Now we gotta find the lodge, because that's where Ellie is. Just let him pass. Oh no, come down here. Oh, yes, come down here. Alright. Cooking anything but a snow in his face. And then Joel finds...
Where the hell is Ellie's stuff here?
Took her stuff, that's why.
Oh, Christ.
I'm assuming... Oh, I just remembered another thing that I completely forgot to mention. Earlier I had mentioned that the girl, again, is grieving. And I mentioned how she asked to be, like, to bury him. Then he obviously, like, he says, like, oh, not right now, because, you know, there's, like, a lot of snow. I feel like that was just to cover up the fact that they were going to eat him. And then later that day, they did eat him. And also I did say that some people in his group did know about the cannibalism. I feel like she was one of them. The reason being, again, I feel like he used her as a lover, as like a wife, as an other half sort of thing. It's really weird, I know. But I feel like she was in the know, and she wanted her father to be buried because she didn't want to eat him. Because she was one of the ones that knew. Obviously, he lies and says that we can't do it now, but we'll do it when spring hits, when the snow's cleared. That was another thing. This is also really bad, dude.
I gotta find her. I gotta find her. Holy shit. Ellie.
And we're back. Things are fools. rather end up here? I don't know. But they did. So in the show, the whole chase doesn't really happen. Like, I mean, he does chase her, but it's not to the extent of in the game where you have to stab him like 3 times until like you finally beat him. In the show, she attempts to attack him and she fails.
I knew you had heart.
And
You know, it's okay to give up. Ain't no shame in it.
This sort of thing. This is when this happens.
I guess not. Just not your style, is it? You can try begging.
Fuck you.
You think you know me? Huh? Well, let me tell you something. You have no idea what I'm capable of.
I'm going to pause it right now because there's going to be another thing that happens after this. So, obviously, we grab the machete and we're about to kill David. Very violently. In the show, or in the game, obviously, he is attempting to kill Ellie. Oh, God, I hope I don't get taken off this. In the show, he attempts a no-no word on Ellie. He pins her down and he says that all you need is a little taste. Yeah. He attempts one of the most unforgivable things in the entire universe, in the entire world. And in the show, or in the game, it's not too explicit. It's just like a simple hand-holding and like, you're special. He's sort of creepy in that sort of sense. In the show, he is way more. He says a lot of things, he does a lot of things, and then this solidifies him being a full-on just... If he went to prison, people would beat him up and he would not survive. And this scene actually sort of broke me. Like, this is messed up. Like other things, everything is, sunset and daisies. A guy gets his throat slit. Try again. A guy gets his throat slit. A guy gets beaten to death. His skull is crushed. A guy gets run over and his spine is exposed and neck cracks and all of that. That doesn't really faze me. That is until an adult is attracted to a younger child, or a man forces himself onto a woman, or other way around. That sort of thing is one of few things that gets me. And all I gotta say is, all I can do is applaud the creators for actually taking that risk. Because obviously, in the show, or in the game, it's only illicit that he's sort of creepy towards Ellie. In the show, he's full-blown, you need a taste, little girl, sort of thing, which feels so weird coming out of my mouth. It feels so weird saying that. But yeah, he does that, and then they both end the same way. Her inner instinct kicks in.
It's me. Look.
And then Joel finds her, both in the game and in the show, except in the show she walks out of the building, and then Joel for some reason sneaks up on her and scares the hell out of her.
It's me.
And then...
He tried to...
Oh, baby girl.
And then, oh, baby girl. Oh. There's no talking. Machete planted into the dude's skull. Ah, man. And spring. that's the end of the episode. Okay, there's a lot to take in there. There's a lot, actually. Oh, man. So I mentioned, again, I repeated myself several times at this point. Joel never really cared for Ellie. He was always blocked off. He never wanted a, emotional connection with Ellie. He doesn't want to see another daughter and then fail him. And that slowly changes throughout the game and throughout the show. In the beginning, there's a huge barrier between Joel and Ellie. While Ellie's trying to break through, Joel is continuously building another wall. And slowly, he starts to just slow it down a little bit. He starts to let her get closer and closer and closer. That is until he realizes until Henry and Sam and his brother. He realizes that, or at least in the game, he realizes that he's getting too close, and he's like, oh my god, it's happening all over again. And then he sees Henry lose Sam and kill himself. And that's sort of a wake-up call for Joel, saying basically, I don't want this to happen to me again. I don't want this to happen to me. I don't want someone to get too close to me and then them die. And it's going to break me, and it's going to make me weak. It's going to make me just not sort of safe for the apocalypse. And it's not safe for Ellie. And in the show, it's a bit slightly different. It's a bit earlier in the show where he realizes that he absolutely cannot get close to Ellie. It happens way earlier. It happens in Billstown with his letter to Ellie. Or to Joel, I mean. Bill's letter to Joel. Which, if you don't remember, I still have it written down here somewhere. Do I not have it written down? Do I have it? Oh, yeah. To whomever, but probably Joel. August 29, 2023. If you find this, please do not come into the bedroom and let the window open so the house wouldn't smell. But it will be a sight. I'm guessing you found this, Joel, because anyone else would have been electrocuted or blown up by one of my traps. Take anything you need. The bunker code is the same as the gate code, but in reverse. Anyway, I never liked you, but still, it's like we're friends. Almost. And I respect you. So I'm gonna tell you something because you're probably the only person who will understand. I used to hate the world, and I was happy when everyone died. But I was wrong, because there was one person worth saving. That's what I did. I saved him. Then I protected him. That's why men like you and me are here. We have a job to do. And God help any mother effers who stand in our way. I leave you all of my weapons and equipment. Use them to keep Tess safe. That was sort of a reminder to Joel that he failed. Another failure in his life. He doesn't want another one, so he doesn't see Ellie as another person worth protecting. But he does it for Tess. But me reading this again, it sort of tells the story of Joel again. He hated the world. He was happy he wasn't happy, but he hated the world. But throughout the entire game and throughout the entire show, he found somebody who changed his perspective on that. He found someone more safe. And in this case, it's Ellie. And the way that they slowly get closer after Jackson, when Joel decides to take Ellie. And they start getting closer and closer. But it's not really official. That is until two words were said, both in the show and in the game. Baby girl. Why is this so important? Well, in the game, for the game, it is important because it is the word, it is the same thing he said to Sarah. This same night she died. It was a word he used for Sarah, or it was a nickname he said for Sarah, because Sarah was someone important to him. It was his daughter. That word solidified them coming together. He is now officially seeing her as his daughter. And in this moment, throughout the entire game, he has protected her from being killed. He's protected her from getting hurt. He's protected her from clickers, from other hunters, from raiders. But this is the first time where or in the game, the first time he saves her emotionally. He doesn't he doesn't patch up a wound that, is a cut. He doesn't let her rest. He doesn't, just feed her. He comforts her in a way that only a father really could, or a father figure really could. And that's sort of the absolute start of their whole, you're my daughter and I'm your father. Earlier he says, you're not my daughter and I'm not your father. That changed after that. Problem is, Ellie is still broken beyond repair at this point, especially in the show, because she was literally forced upon by another man. She may not fully recover from this, but she does have someone to help her at least get better. Again, this episode broke me, both emotionally and also just sheer what happened, why sort of thing. Honestly, this episode is near 1-to-1 to the show, or in the game. There are huge differences with the show, the cult, being an actual cult. From the game, it's more just a settlement that they have people, scavenge or kill other people for their food. And also, David is full-on creep towards little kids. But honestly, I feel like it works for the show. Because again, zombie apocalypse isn't sunshines and rainbows. There's going to be some dark stuff. And a lot of the time, a lot of zombies, sort of shows and games and whatever, they don't really depict all of the bad. I think in The Walking Dead, they did this, both in the comics and in the show, where they show, the absolute worst in humans. And I feel like it's sort of necessary to have this sort of stuff in shows. But yeah, that's the episode. I'm finally all caught up. Finally. Tomorrow I'm thinking about doing it tomorrow, the stream tomorrow. Because tomorrow is the last episode of The Last of Us Season 1. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, because I might do it a day or two after, because I need some time to be able to do some of this stuff, to do my analysis, because it takes me a couple watches to get this sort of stuff figured out. But I'm actually not ready for this next episode. I'm not, because I know it's going to happen. If it's close to the game, I'm not excited to see what happens, because this next part of the game made it so I just stopped playing the game. This part of the game was sort of a catalyst for something that happens later on. And mostly just, yeah. I'm gonna end it there because before I start rambling on for no reason. I'm gonna end it now. Hope you guys enjoyed, or at least learned something new from both the game or in the show, because you probably should have watched it or played the game. If you don't care, then it doesn't matter. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. That's about it. Thank you, and goodbye.